so much. Thank you. I'll hand it over to you, and I'm going to turn my camera off because our internet isn't the greatest here in Six Nations. So thanks, Karen.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me on behalf of TTC today. I'm really excited to be able to collaborate with you and your team in this opportunity to do a virtual session. So we're going to start this morning with a quick check at our agenda and just, oops. Our agenda for today, we're going to do a quick check-in, and then I'm going to talk all about the TTC, the Toronto Transit Commission. Today, because of the presentation and because I'm talking to the teachers, the educators at the Ontario Native Literacy Coalition, I wanted to talk about one of our programs, Step to Transportation. It's one of our success stories and demonstrates some of the best practices, as well as talks about the opportunities for entrance into the trades. Following that, talk a little bit about recruitment and what that looks like at TTC, and then some of the featured positions and the requirements needed at TTC. I've left questions and answers for the end, but happy to take them in the chat as needed. The one thing I would ask is that if there is a question in the chat and I'm into the presentation, if one of the co-hosts could just alert me that there is a question in the chat. Happy to stop and to take the question at that time. So with that, I think we can begin. And just want to do a check-in with the team at ONLC. Are we good to go?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. All right. So our check-in today, we're going to have a poll. And the first question I think we're going to post, the first question is really tell us what you know about TTC. And have you taken the TTC? It's a yes/no question. Have you taken the TTC? And our second question is, what color is the new line with the most TTC subway stops? Is it yellow? Is it green? Is it blue? Or magenta, purple, or plum? Which ones? And the last question is, how many, so sorry, I'm just going to check in with Sarah there. Sarah, are the questions coming individually or are they all coming at once? So just to check in with Sarah.
They're all here on this same poll screen, Karen.
Okay. So everyone can see the questions and I'll just do the last question.
Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is, how many stops does line 2 have? How many stops does line 2 have? Right, so those are my check-in questions today. And is the poll ready to be shown, or are the results from the poll ready to be shown?
There you are. Unfortunately, panelists can't vote, Karen, so we just...
Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. You shared that in the chat. Thank you. So yeah, there have been people who have taken the TTC, so that's exciting. The second question, the color, the line that has the most stops, the green line. It is actually the yellow line. The yellow line has the most stops. And the question is, the last question is, can just pull it down here. How many stops does line 2 have? So the answer that came up 100% was 35 stops. Actually, line 2 has 31 stops. So good. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for participating in our check-in this morning. I'm going to continue by just sharing with you about the TTC. TTC celebrated 100 years on September 1st, 2021. We started the TTC officially started September 1st, 1921. So it's a big year for us. We have acknowledgements, we have history of the TTC throughout stations on the transit. And, you know, due to COVID, obviously celebrations have to be limited in support and in line with the provincial mandated requirements. But it is an important day in our history, given it is that it's 100 years of TTC. Approximately 533 million riders per year take the TTC. And over the last 100 years, 32 billion riders have taken the TTC. So, you know, we are moving Toronto, we are getting folks to work, we are getting students to school, we are getting people to the grocery stores appointments, and we're moving the city. We have nearly 16,000 employees at the TTC, and that is in every department. So from administration to transit operators to our executives and everything in between. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Of course, on the weekends and on holidays, we have alternative scheduling, but 24 hours, 7 days a week, we operate. And our work includes daytime work, shift work, off days, and including working outdoors. You know, a lot of people assume that we're just the transit operators. Well, in order for the transit operators to work, we need garages. We need garages to fix our vehicles. We need folks to schedule who work in the office, who work in the garages. We have unionized workers and we have a non-unionized environment. Me, for example, though I work with the folks in the garages, I also work with the folks in administration. So I'm non-unionized, but I work within the unionized environment. Our attire at TTC, excuse me, our attire at TTC is a casual attire, work clothing, and uniform. So it spreads the gamut of the wardrobe. We are salaried, which includes a benefits package and a pension package, which is very lucrative at TTC. Each of us has access to an employee transit pass, which means that we travel for TTC for free. We have to wear it, we have to show it when we're on the transit. It has our picture on it, and I forgot to bring mine. I'm sorry. I meant to bring that this morning. And when folks retire, they actually get a special transit pass for continuous use of the TTC. There are many opportunities for advancement, and we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. What are some of the opportunities and what are the opportunities for advancement? One of the things that may be of particular interest to the educators is that there are educational supports for advancement. So in your area of expertise at TTC, your training has to be approved, and upon approval will be paid. So in the area that you work. So, you know, there's the TTC ensures that they are making sure that their people are current, that they have the educational and supports in place to make sure that you have the skills necessary for your job. And as I mentioned earlier, a majority of our positions are unionized. About 80% of our employees are unionized and 20% of employees are non-unionized. We are the largest union. The largest union at the commission is the Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU 113. And that's for all transit operators and major maintenance jobs. As I mentioned before, in order for the trains, the subways, the buses, the streetcars to run, we have a maintenance team that makes sure that everybody is safe. We are working to keep TTC staff safe, and our motto is work safe, home safe. So safety is our prime responsibility, and we take it really seriously at the TTC. One of the newest policies that are in effect is a mandatory vaccination policy to make sure that everybody is safe. And so for folks who have been hired for many years to folks that are onboarding, including students that would either take a co-op or an internship, there's a mandatory vaccination policy. And so that's just in keeping with the times, but also ensuring that we are compliant with the provincial mandated policies. So I'm going to transition a little bit here and talk a little bit about the trade sector. There's a shortage of semi-skilled and skilled trades workers in Ontario, but also in Canada. There are retirements and infrastructure projects are creating more of a demand for tradespeople. And that's from semi-skilled to skilled people. And the semi-skilled could be folks that may not have their certification, and the skilled folks specific certifications for the job. The TTC is in the process of adding a new transit line. And so that means that there's going to be more work in the trades. We are looking to secure opportunities for women. Our CEO has talked about a 40% hire of women for the new transit operator positions. We also have a commitment to young workers and to BIPOC, to Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities in order to create sustainable career pathways for the TTC. And so, we're not looking at jobs at the TTC, we're looking at bringing in folks for careers. Given that there is a shortage of skilled and semi-skilled workers in the trades, we want to make sure that we have folks with varied skills, folks who are interested in the trades, interested in exploring and creating sustainable pathways at TTC. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a really successful program. It's called Step to Transportation. Step to Transportation started in 2010, and we started with the front of the line program, which ensured that high school students could apply to TTC and they would get opportunity to work at TTC. And this was an idea that came to support co-op placements, to support folks that were interested in the trades, to support folks with hands-on skills, and also to support younger workers at TTC. The Step to Transportation program has co-ops, and that started in the fall of 2018. And so Step to Transportation is a program through Toronto District School Board, and it's an exploratory program where students come to TTC for a set number of weeks, and they go into a rotation. So they may be in one area, let's say carpentry for 2 weeks, and then they go to another area like plumbing. They may go work with a millwright for 2 weeks. And so they go on a rotation basis, and then they are able to identify what they're interested in working, what department they're interested in working at TTC. We've been doing it, as I said, since fall 2018, and it's been really successful. The students love it. It's been great opportunities for them because they've been able to have hands-on learning, as well as be able to apply their skills in different sectors within TTC. Sorry, that I was trying to enlarge my screen so that I could read the text. We have about 17 to 20 students per semester in the program. And annually we have about 35 to 40 students that come through the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. It's called the OYAP program, and they are apprentices at TTC. Between 35 to 40 of these students have worked in 9 garages, including our larger garages, which are Duncan and Harvey shops at Hillcrest. And they've also worked on subway and streetcar facilities at Greenwood and Leslie Barnes. Of these 35 to 40 students, 65% have been from Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. And 37% of the students that have come have been female. We're really trying to encourage females to look at opportunities in the trades. And the students, so this is an example of a cohort of students. A group of students were achieving 65% in high school, and the same group of students averaged 85% at Centennial College. And so students that maybe weren't, they were passing, they understood the work, but they weren't highly successful. They had an average grade of about 63%. Following the Step to Construction program, they were able to get accepted into Centennial College. They took their level 1 at Centennial College and graduated with an average of 80% at Centennial College. So there's real opportunity here for students who might not choose a college or a career path, a college or university path, that they get training, which ensures that they are going to be trained in the skilled trades. The training that we do is through the college, through various colleges and including Centennial College. And so students will be going back to school to do their learning and their upgrading. TTC employees have come through community groups, and once they've come in through the community groups, they've been able to get their certification at Centennial College. I see the questions. I'm going to be answering those momentarily. And through the front of the line that I mentioned, when we started in 2010, we have 3 students who have transitioned in secured successful placements with the front of the line competition, and then they transitioned over the years into 4-person and engineering technologist. So there's definitely opportunity to move forward in your career at TTC. Just going to look at the chat quickly. There are a couple of questions. Was asked, how far throughout Southern Ontario is the reach? Does it go to Hamilton, Niagara, Oshawa, and Kitchener? So we work with colleges all across Ontario. However, our programming is in Toronto, right? We are working with Centennial College. We're in the process of figuring out some training opportunities with Humber College. And so, as well as other colleges across Ontario. I've been looking for, my role at TTC includes the educational partnerships. And so supporting our teams to find the right educational partnerships. And so because there are so many colleges from Ottawa to Niagara to Hamilton that are doing work in the trades, I am working with all of the colleges to figure out alignment in order to support our teams at TTC. I think that was the last question. So programming and partnership development is underway. And we have meetings in the coming weeks, and we're really hoping to solidify and increase partnerships with the colleges so that we can have more people coming in. And as you know, not every college offers the same programming. And so that's why we've reached across Ontario to be able to secure the right partnerships. We've gone to Georgian College, and I'm not going to mention all the colleges because I don't think that's the purpose of the question, but just to let you know that we are expanding our reach from Ottawa, who's doing light rail, to Hamilton, Niagara, Georgian College. And the important thing about these colleges and universities actually is that they have campuses in different locations, right? And so we're trying to find the right match. I hope that answers your questions to the folks who have asked. I wanted to spend a little time just to talk about that career pathway, and so that the educators can understand what that looks like from your perspective, but also how that transitions to TTC. So, you know, we have many pre-apprenticeship programs or literacy and basic skills programs that are doing high school and math upgrading, right? In order for folks to secure their high school diploma or get some additional supports through upgrading. And so I understand that, you know, that with your programming, folks are able to secure their high school diploma, get the transcript, and there are community groups who are also doing work making sure that folks have identification, the right identification. There's also essential skills training, which includes resume and cover letters and work being done for interview prep. So from what I understand from the literacy and basic skills training, this is some of the work that you're doing with your participants. Where we've worked at TTC with community groups, with agencies doing this work, is there've been co-op placements at TTC, and so we've identified a group of folks who are interested in the trades, and they've got a placement for a school term. In order to qualify, they've gone through the interview process in terms of onboarding, which has included a medical and a drug test, along with training with a college partner. That has secured them apprenticeships at TTC, and where they've come on as employees of TTC. One of the things that we do in our work is making sure that there's next level training with a college partner so that they can secure their different levels of their trade, and then they can write the certificate of qualifications in order to get the red seal. And the red seal is for some trades, not all trades, but it is the highest level within the trades. There's always internal opportunities for advancement. And so as folks are either getting certified, learning new skills, or trying different pathways, there is that opportunity for advancement at TTC. Within the trades, once you get your journey person, that is, you know, you've written your certificate of qualification and you get your red seal. And so that's a very, very quick run through of, you know, the process in terms of a apprenticeship career pathway that TTC supports for the advancement, not only of individuals, but also for the work that we do at the commission. So in terms of our recruitment, one of the major areas that we recruit includes bus, streetcar, subway trains, and Wheel-Trans. And these are most of our new hires, And this is one of the areas that we are recruiting, and there's ongoing recruiting. At the moment, we have a special program to try and get more women into the trades. And so the recruitment for the transit operators includes all of these modes of transportation. For the transit operator, there are some basic requirements. The minimum of your grade 12 diploma or equivalent, experience, face-to-face customer service experience, and a G license, a non-probationary Ontario G license that is in good standing. What we've realized is that, the transit operator is really working with the public, and that customer service experience is really valuable. Knowing how to work with people, knowing how to communicate with people, knowing how to diffuse situations to ensure that everyone who is taking the transit is safe. One of the things that is really important is in terms of the requirements, you must successfully pass a medical examination in accordance with the Ministry of Transportation regulations, and you must successfully pass a drug test, again, in accordance with the ministry. And there's also a mandatory vaccination, proof of vaccination that needs to be in place in order to secure employment. I mentioned in the previous slide the identification. Along with your high school diploma, we require proper identification. So your SIN card or paperwork, your photo ID. And so that part is also part of the onboarding process at TTC. I think, I just want to check in with my co-host. Is there a question for me?
It's Sarah speaking. Michelle, are there any questions you'd like to raise with Karen?
I just saw the chat, so maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe it was just inter-chat communication. So, okay,
that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to multitask here. No, Six Nations Polytechnic has training programs, as does the ONLC Skills and Trades Center here at Six Nations. And we were thinking that it would be perhaps a really good idea, Karen, if we connected you guys up with our centers, like our training centers, because they do offer some apprenticeship training in a way of, some of the trades that you have mentioned. So maybe that's something that we should follow up with, so we could get some of our people involved from Six Nations as well.
Absolutely, that would be great. And
so that was our talking going on with one of the people on the who is a service provider at Six Nations Polytechnic.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. I definitely will follow up with you with that. And then hopefully we can do intro and then see how we can collaborate.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. I wasn't sure if it was a question. I didn't want to miss the question, so I appreciate you stopping to just let me know, what the conversation was about. Thank you. One of the entry points into TTC, I know I've talked a lot about the skills, skill trades, and that's because we are focusing on the skill trades, ensuring that there's ongoing opportunities for the commission. But the other thing that is also upcoming, and I think might be really well suited to folks, who have experience in the trades, but maybe don't have their certification, right? We have seasonal maintenance recruitment. And so that starts now, but the timeline for that is for April. So it really provides folks with an opportunity to be able to get what they need done. So whether it's completing some courses or doing some upgrading, and getting their identification, this really gives people an opportunity to get things organized, work with the training centers to be able to get ready for the application. So the seasonal maintenance recruitment includes non-skilled folks, which are laborers and track workers, but it's also semi-skilled and skilled positions. So an equipment operator or a repair person in concrete work. And so the difference is with the equipment operator or the repair persons, there's actually an apprenticeship pathway, right? As a general laborer, there isn't an apprenticeship pathway. And so it might be folks who, have experience in the trades, have experience in the trades, and or good with their hands, right? All positions are unionized and some require a full G license. So that part's really important. And the question always comes up, what about a G1? Well, no, we need a full G in good standing. The opportunity here really is about flexible hours, right? So it's a variety of shifts are available, nights, holidays, weekends, and able to work anywhere in Toronto. So it could be, at one of our stations, it could be at multiple stations, it could be in the garages, which are all across the TTC. And so the really good opportunity here is that though it starts out as a seasonal position, at the end, 70 to 80% of our people have been retained, right? So they've come on as seasonal and they've transitioned into a full-time employment at TTC. And so, the reality is once you're in as an employee of TTC, you're able to navigate and, get into a different department. So maybe you're starting in the office, maybe you're starting as a general laborer, maybe you're starting as an equipment operator, and you might want to transition into something in a supervisory role. There is that opportunity there. And so with us retaining 70 to 80% of the folks who come in as seasonal maintenance people, there's an opportunity there for you to be retained as an employee. There's a question in the chat. What entry-level positions? Oh, sorry, I have to go back and here we go. Sorry, another question came up. So what entry-level positions are available for those with a GED? So general laborers, track workers, there may also be administration positions. Excuse me. Yeah, there also may be administration positions. Sorry about that. The one thing I recommend is that you go online to ttc.ca and you can look at the postings. I think there are about 29 postings when last I checked. The postings are ongoing, and that's our portal, and notifying folks who are interested in opportunities here. The other thing is that you can set up an alert, and so when new postings become available, you'll be notified. Okay, and then I think we are good. Okay, so Alexandra, did that answer your question? Oh, okay, good, thank you. Just gonna continue. So, these are just some of the seasonal maintenance, not an exhaustive list. So it's a high volume hire, and there's an opportunity for folks to get in and get long-term sustainable career opportunities. So here's some examples of the seasonal maintenance recruitment. It could be anything from mechanics to carpenters, electricians, millwrights, bricklayers, machinists, truck and coach technicians. But for these skilled positions, a minimum of grade 12 and a provincial license in the trade is required. So we know that sometimes folks have lapsed their membership or not, finished all their certification. And so working with us, we look at continuing that opportunity for learning. Oh, sorry, I went too fast there. And sorry, folks. There are also licensed trades, so that includes from a coach technician to a plumber to HVAC, millwright, and sheet metal workers, right? These are the licensed trades that we work in, and these are some other positions that we're recruiting for. Apprenticeships range, and these are some example. It could be an electrician pool, right, which includes wiring, service, signals, overhead, substations, an apprenticeship as an escalator mechanic. Right now, we are recruiting for the light rail technician. I know that one's up. That's one's being posted. And a rail transit car mechanic, right, as a trainee. These are all through the ministry, making sure folks are certified and they have the right skills and training. Excuse me, sorry. And we also have semi-skills, which could be a vehicle repair person, rail vehicle analyzer, but there are also supervision positions such as garage foreman, foreperson of rail vehicles. We have 9 garages, and and so there's lots of work to be done on a continuous basis at TTC. And I think that is it for my presentation. Wondering if anybody has any questions?
It's Sarah speaking. If any of you have questions and you'd like to use your microphone, just let us know in the chat, or click the raise hand and I will give you access to a microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So, I do want to say this. I focused on the trades opportunities, right? The skilled trades and apprenticeships. We hosted an event at TTC, and it's called TTC Connects Skilled Trades and Apprentices. And so for this event, we focused on the skilled trades and apprentices. In November, we're going to host another event, and that'll be for professional administration and technical jobs. So that's really more on our business end, right? So though I focused this time on the skilled trades and apprentices, we also have project management jobs. We have administrative jobs. We have occupation health and safety jobs, financial jobs, IT, everything that you can think of in terms of business. In order for our transit operators to run, we need somebody who does scheduling, who does planning, who makes sure that folks are paid, who make sure that the work sites are safe, make sure that the transit system is safe. So so there are different career opportunities. I just focused on the trades right now, but there will be a session that's coming up, and that'll focus on our business at TTC. There is a question here. A couple of questions, so just give me a second. Sorry, I'm working on different screens. Are all positions within Toronto? Yes, all positions are within Toronto, because that's where we're operating. So all positions are within Toronto. That being said, a lot of people don't live in Toronto. They're commuting in from Toronto. So as far as Hamilton, I learned one of my colleagues commutes daily from Coburg, which is about an hour out of Toronto. So I'd say the GTA, right? A lot of folks live in Barrie. And because of scheduling, because we're operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if somebody's on the night shift and they're living out in Barrie or they're living out in Coburg, that actually works, right? Because you're going against traffic. So a lot of folks are commuting into Toronto. Oh, the questions are coming in. 1 second. So yes, all positions are in Toronto, but many people live outside of Toronto and the surrounding areas. Are there any other incentives to attract women to these trade employment opportunities? Great question. Yes, we're actively recruiting women. We have a special program for women to enter as transit operators. And so really trying to get them in. In terms of the trades, absolutely. We're also looking to, when we're working with our educational partners, we're really looking to attract more women. So I mentioned, I don't know if you caught this, but I mentioned our Step to Transportation program. And they've got, I think it was for almost 40% of women in their programming. We're starting another pilot program called Step to Construction. And we're looking at least 40% of the participants to include women. And so, there are wonderful financial incentives for women to support you in your career through the ministry. And so we're also informing folks about these opportunities so that they can tell their students, they can tell their participants, they can tell their clients so that they can secure that funding. Okay. What is the application program process? And so in terms of applications, it is a resume and a cover letter, and identifying the job along with the code. There's usually a code, a four-digit code. So identifying that, it'll go into our portal. We have recruitment, talent. We have recruiters. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name for them. We have recruiters, and they will screen the resumes. If folks are match with their skills, the recruiter will send talent acquisition specialists. Sorry, our talent acquisition specialists or our recruiters will notify you, usually by email, that there's an opportunity to be interviewed. We have a panel of to interview folks, and upon, and it depending on the department, it could be, there may be an assessment, there could be another interview. It really depends on what the hiring manager has identified. There could be a test afterwards, like after 2 rounds of interviews, an assignment that's to be done to evaluate your writing skills. In terms of the trades, for some of them, there's been some entry testing to make sure that you understand some of the content. If people pass those tests, then they secure an interview with a panel. So a panel usually includes the talent acquisition specialist, along with a hiring manager and somebody from the area. So it depends. Then if folks have successfully completed that process, the identification, there's an onboarding process which includes securing all your identification. So you need proof of any kind of certification that's relevant to your role, and that's been identified in the post. You need government ID and government ID, photo ID, and then you will get, once you've cleared those, a police clearance, a background check, and mandatory vaccination. Proof of vaccination is, we have a mandatory vaccination policy, so proof of vaccination is required. And then once those are confirmed, an offer will be sent to applicants. Okay, there is another question. Everybody has to be vaccinated at TTC. It's a mandatory vax policy that applies to everybody. So whether you're working in the office, whether you're working in the garages, whether you're working as a transit operator, it's a mandatory vax policy. Okay, let me just go back. I'm going to go back to the slides just to answer that question about the requirements. Go back a couple of slides. Okay, so as a transit operator, a minimum of grade 12, a secondary diploma or the equivalent, face-to-face customer service experience, a non-probationary G license in good standing, along with successful pass of a medical exam, successful pass of a drug test in accordance with the Ministry of Transportation regulations, and mandatory vaccinations. So that's specifically for transit operator, but for each post, if you look at the requirements are specified, and that'll tell you what you need to qualify for the position. Okay. I see there are a couple more questions in the chat. Okay, thank you for that, Sarah. That was very helpful. Okay, I will. It was asked, could you give the URL for the job postings? And it's ttc.ca. ttc.ca. I could, yeah. Yes, thank you, Sarah. And then you will look for employment opportunities. I'm just checking to see incentives. I'm just checking to see if I've missed any questions. Are there any other questions?
Karen, your presentation was fabulous. Thank you so much. Very informative.
No, thank you for having me, and providing the opportunity for us to talk about what's been happening at TTC, and also what opportunities there are at TTC. The one thing I would like to share with everybody is that TTC is hiring an Indigenous subject matter expert. And so this will be coming up, and as soon as that is posting, I am forwarding it to you, Michelle. And so for you to forward to your network. And so this is, I am thrilled about this. You know, it's been a long time coming, but there's intentionality around shifting and including addressing some of the gaps and including underserved and underrepresented groups. And so we have a new chief of people and culture, and this is part of her portfolio, right? And that's the division that I work for. And so there's some really good things happening to make sure that the right people are in place to support the work that we want to do, and to, you know, be a better ally, to make some corrective action, to really support community and support folks that deserve opportunities. And so I'm really excited about this new posting. It's forthcoming. And so I will be sharing with partners. I will be encouraging folks to send it through their network and to get qualified candidates in to apply. And so, you know, that's an example of a non-trade position that is forthcoming. So I really appreciate the opportunity to share not only the things that are coming up in the trades, but, you know, other things in the network.
Wonderful. Just for, I know that some people joined later. The webinar is recorded, is being recorded. And so you can have an opportunity to go back and watch it again. I know we went through, and I even missed some things, and I wanted you to go back, but I didn't want to interrupt. So I'm probably going to watch it as well again. So thank you so much. It was so informative, and there's so many jobs available at the TTC that I was unaware of, and I'm sure I speak for everyone. That it's very exciting to know that those opportunities are available, especially for our Indigenous clients and the women.
And you know, those are the trade specific stuff. And because, you know, you're working with skills and basic literacy, you know, this is some of the positions. You know, we also know that folks have many different certifications and qualifications that maybe they haven't you know, talked about, right? And so really encourage you to and you know, to direct your clients, to direct your participants, direct your students to check out and read some of the postings, right? Because you know, there's tons of opportunities.
It's Sarah. Could I just jump in with a question that I'm not sure you've been able to see, Karen?
Yep.
And it is with respect to those who organizations are supporting with a past criminal record. Can you speak to that at all? I know you mentioned there is a police records check as part of the hiring process, but is there anything else that you can add?
So it's up to the hiring manager, right? So they have said it's not an absolute no. Like if it's not an absolute no, it depends on the job and it depends on the hiring manager. You know, I've worked with folks with experience in the justice system, and they've secured amazing opportunities within unionized environments in my previous roles. And so one of the things I always say is, you know, if I'm hesitant because this is going to go public, but the hiring manager will take into consideration folks' criminal record. So I'll say that's what I understand from the various hiring managers. So it's not an absolute no. I know that it's a difficult conversation because you know, bringing the past up, right? If those are questions, if there are questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to be able to support that conversation, talk to the hiring manager, and figure out how to navigate that.
That's great. I know that Karen Bomberry came on, and she's with our local employment center here as well. But she joined late, and I sent her a link, and I would think that's when I got bumped off. But I know that she probably will be watching the webinar as well.
All right.
Once it's recorded. So thank you, Karen.
And Michelle has my email address and contact information. So, you know, happy to connect with folks, do a follow-up. If it's, you know, your individual groups, Michelle had mentioned another organization or partner organization. Sorry, I'm not clear on the relationship, but most definitely happy to figure out that educational partnership, how we can support you, whether it's a professional development opportunity like this, where, you know, we talk to the educators and let them know the work that we're doing, and, you know, and set up a follow-up session, because I know having the participants there, that they would have different questions. And also I could bring one of our team members who can talk about the positions in a different way, right? So whether the recruiter or whether one of the hiring managers who are actively recruiting. So because of the ask for this session, and this professional development was specifically for the teachers, for the educators, to understand some of our work and just kind of do an overview of the work that we're doing now. So I hope I was able to provide that context for you, and you know, just showing you some of the career pathways that are at TTC.
Okay, I know that you had a survey that you wanted to give to the participants. If I let Sarah know that that's perfectly okay. So does she have it, or do you have it, or?
I will send it to you, Michelle.
Okay, and then I'll make sure that you get all the information back. How's that, Karen?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Like I said, I can't say it enough, but you provided so much information and some really good insights as to working with the TTC that are available to not only our Indigenous clients, but women and the LGBT community and so on. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Very, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay. Is Sarah?
Yes, Michelle.
So I guess that we're done if there's no more questions.
All right.
I'd like to say a special thank you to Sarah again for making sure I was ready for this session. Appreciate the tech support and making sure that I was ready. So thank you, Sarah.
You're most welcome, Karen. It was a pleasure. All right. Thanks everyone very much for participating this morning and for the great questions. I will stop the recording. I wish everyone a great day and a good weekend ahead.